Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, it's pre-game, and we're joined here on the NFC West Show by my boy JT and our boy Bo. How you doing, gents?
Good morning, fellas.
Bo's there, but his sound is gone. He's got to find the mute button.
There we go.
There it is. There it is.
I was on the LTS morning show, so I'm just popping over.
Literally, just like me, I was just on the NFL UK show, and it was just like, gotta hang up, guys. Sorry, gotta shoot, gotta go speak to my boys. So, how you doing?
Good. How about you guys? I mean, I could have had a better Thursday, but
I don't know. My Friday morning was great. I can tell you, my Friday morning. Yeah, I had no problem and no qualms about staying up till 5:20 a.m. in the morning on Friday for that one. It also meant I got a head start on the Black Friday sales as well. So there's a win-win.
There you go.
Yeah, but I saw you were at the game though, Bo. How was that? How was the?
I mean, it was still fun, right? Like anytime you're in the building, it's a good time. Plus, that stadium is loud, even in a loss.
Right.
Like, it is a loud building. It is a ton of fun. So yeah, I mean, anytime you can go to the game is worth going.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you want to see a little better performance out of your team, but yeah, and kudos to Niners fans. They traveled pretty well. They showed up. So there was a bunch of them sprinkled through the stadium. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. A couple of the 49er Faithful UK guys who had been at Levi's for the game before against the Bucks traveled up for that game as well. So there was about 5 or 6 of the guys up there watching it. So yeah, and you say there was a fair sprinkling of red in the crowd. So yeah, they did travel well. So it was just a nice game for us. It set the tone. I think that after the bye week and the game against the Bucks was like, okay, guys, that's a good performance. But then they followed it up with a really good performance against you guys on Thursday night, I thought.
Yeah, well, and the Hawks are a better team than the Bucks. So I mean, that win was more like it was more of a statement win where you guys are, hey, we're not just punching down. Like we can beat teams that
we're not doing a Dallas. We're not flat track bullies. We're not beating up on bad teams, and then when a good team comes to town, and we lose like they lost to the Cardinals, Jay. Yep.
Yeah,
How are you feeling about Sunday?
I feel good today, but about that Seahawks Niners game, I think the Seahawks actually played really good. To be honest with you, I didn't really expect. I mean, we saw Jacksonville put up 3 points against the 49ers, who came back to reality, and I kind of thought something along those lines. And outside of that second quarter where they kind of let things get away from them a little bit, I felt like they were in it. They were fighting. They were moving the sticks. They were playing well. Again, it's just, that I just think the Niners and the Eagles are just kind of, that much better. It's just a case of we've got to stay, with them until that fourth quarter, then anything can happen kind of thing. And I think you guys were, again, just that second quarter, just kind of, where they got that lead.
I think it's right. The blink, isn't it? That, as you say, those good teams can take a quarter, and you blink and you miss a couple of series, and you don't get some points, and then suddenly you're like, well, how do we get 2 scores down? And it happens so quickly, and then you're chasing the game, and that's always going to be a struggle against a good D.
Absolutely. Which again, I mean, just watching and then watching the Kansas City Eagles game. Now, Seattle is not Kansas City, but I watched that Philadelphia team, and I'm like, even though they won, how could anybody come away with man, that team is just elite. That team is
Mm.
clicking on all cylinders. I watch Hurts. I don't think Hurts had the best game. I don't think the Eagles had the best game. I think the Chiefs had a pretty good grasp of it until the end. And playing in Kansas City, playing in that environment, that's a tough environment to play in. Super Bowl rematch. And I don't think the Eagles really played that good of a game, and they won the game, but
I don't think either of those two teams came out of that with people going, oh, watch out for those. And, although their records, both teams' records are like, wow, look at those records. But that was a game where you kind of, as a Niners fan, you're like, we could take both of those if that's the level that they're playing at, and we are playing at the level that we played against the Bucs and against
that's
the Seahawks.
Exactly my takeaway when I watched that game, and I've watched the Niners the last couple of weeks. It's like, wow, the Eagles better come with more than that if they want to give the Niners, a game or any competition.
What I'm worried about
this week, Niners Eagles, we get to find out.
Yeah,
it'll be a big week. But my concern is that Eagles may get a wake-up call this weekend against Buffalo, and Buffalo might, either Buffalo could win or Buffalo puts a scare into the Eagles to make suddenly realize, hang on, we've got to play at a new level. We got to get back to that Super Bowl run level, and it might be a wake-up call for that big game.
It's funny though, because the Bills are so wildly inconsistent.
Yes.
Like you really don't know which Bills team is going to show up. Like they could be the team that showed up last week and just beat the brakes off the Jets, right? Or they could show up and be the team that lost the Jets.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I was going to say it's the Jets, but they did lose to the Jets as well, didn't they?
I mean, they turned the ball over 4 times. They've done that multiple times this year. So I mean, you really don't know what the Bills are this year. The only thing you do know for sure is they're not that team anymore.
They're not that team. And one thing you are guaranteed is Josh Allen's going to throw an interception. So you're going to get at least one turnover there as well. So
for sure.
They could turn up and, as you say, run all over them, throw it all over the place, and really put a big fight up. And who knows? They need it from as a Bills organization. They need a big win or a fight against a team like this, because, as you say, that it's becoming apparent that maybe their window's closed, maybe they aren't that team anymore, and they need to start looking a bit more. Is it time to tear down and rebuild, or build around Josh Allen again? Because obviously he's not going anywhere, and he's the main focal point. But the rest of that team might need to be, start to look at that sort of time of, okay, we missed our window again from a Bills organization, and then where do you go now?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have some work to do, because, I mean, Allen looks like he's regressed, right? I mean, he's throwing more picks than he ever has. And so it's one of those, either he regressed or his guys aren't getting open, or, I mean, something is off. So, obviously his connection with Diggs is not what it was when Diggs first got there. But yeah, I mean, something is wrong with that team. And I mean, do they have the talent to beat up on people? Absolutely. So why it's not happening week in and week out, that seems like a coaching issue.
Yeah, I think this is a case where kind of winning cures all. I think that they're, unfortunately, they're putting a lot on Josh Allen, and offense, in most cases, offense is predicated on timing. You got that 3, 5, 7 step drop, and when that back foot hits the ground, the ball comes out of the hand, right? And not in Buffalo's, situation. In the last couple of years, whether it be, whoever that offensive coordinator is, they've relied on Josh Allen to play backyard football and win the game. And typically that has worked. The NFL's kind of caught up and said, nope, that's not going to work anymore. Now Josh Allen's got to go back to finding other ways. But to me, it's like, shame on the Bills. Play within the confines of your offense. When your quarterback is your leading rusher week in and week out, year in and year out, that's a problem. Okay. I mean, and like Bo said, they have the talent. They have Cooks. They have running backs over. They had Singletary last year. They have running backs that can run the rock and can take that pressure off Josh Allen. So, I don't even think the picks are necessarily an issue, because we had a Hall of Famer that we all loved watching on Sundays, and Brett Favre, who was a high touchdown, high turnover guy, but he also won. So winning cures all. And I think they need to tinker a little bit with the way the offenses ran. I really think the pieces and the things, I think it's all kind of there. It just needs to stop being the Josh Allen show. Can he do it? Sure. Don't make him do it all the time.
Week in, week out, week in, week out. Be the whole offense and be the whole scheme. It's just
because you see what happens when you make him do that.
Well, and to your point, I mean, Josh Allen is this era of Brett Favre, right? And if you think back to those Brett Favre games, they lived and died on the arm of Brett Favre, which is why they won one ring, right? Because he would ultimately throw that bad pick when it didn't make sense. I mean, when you think of his last year in the league, right, with the Vikings, that team was no joke. They were a Super Bowl bound team, and he could have went to overtime, but instead he just like hucks it down the field and it gets picked and it's a wrap. Like it's, unfortunately that is who Josh is. And set this team up to be exactly that. You live and die on the arms.
Yeah, you enabled. It's enabled Josh Allen to be Josh Allen, and Josh Allen is great at what he does. But by being great at what he does, he brings that risk factor of it's going to get picked off. He's going to go for that big shot rather than the sensible slide and take the knee or the check down. He's always going to go. So
And I think this is the kind of differentiator between the guys like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Brett Favre. They're those high turnover guys. They make those throws because they can.
Well, yeah, they can definitely make
them. Thread that needle 65 yards down the field in an out route, opposite hat. They can make that throw. You know who can't make that throw? Tom Brady.
Sure.
Brock Purdy. Those are the guys that are, at the end of the day, are going to have more rings than everybody else. Because they don't like checking the ball down. Tom Brady made his career off checking the ball down. But guys like Herbert, guys that, man, I can make that 75-yard dime pass. I can do it. Well, they tend to turn the ball over.
And they can do it, but they tend to also not do it. They can't do it every single time. They can do it once.
The low completion percentage pass right there.
And that's exactly why your offensive coaches are like, don't ever throw that ball. I understand you can, and you might even make it a couple of times, but when you're doing cross body, cross field, like that's a pick 90% of the time. Does it make it sometimes? Sure. But I mean, let's be honest.
9 times out of 10, it's going the other way.
Yeah.
And that's a great point Alec makes right there.
Yeah.
It's both the best and the worst player on that team. And
absolutely.
Without
when he's turned the ball over 4 times in the game and given the Bills no opportunity to win the game, how can you say he's not, the opposite? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Good point.
It will be a good one to watch, that one. So how are you feeling today, though? You got the Rams coming to town, Jay. You think this is an opportunity for you? I think
Ever the eternal optimist, right? I'm so I feel like I'm optimistic every single week.
Since Kyler's been back, you have been.
I tell you what, this week and next week against Pittsburgh, I wish they wouldn't fire Canada, but I really feel like we got a good shot. I don't feel like, I was going over some stats earlier this morning, and the Rams don't do anything great, which is awesome because neither do we, but the sad part is everything they do everything slightly better than we do. They run the ball slightly better. They throw the ball slightly better. They're slightly better on 3rd down. They're slightly better on 4th down. They slightly defend better. So, it's going to be one of those tough games. I hope that home field advantage comes in. I know it's going to be loud. The energy is going to be great there. Neither teams really have anything to play for, so we're going to watch James Conner and Aaron Donald do their thing. They're college teammates, so they're good friends, but not today. And, I really think Kyler is a game changer, and he really changes the dynamic of any game that he plays in. Last week we saw some pedestrian-like Kyler, some pedestrian-type numbers. The week before we saw what Kyler could do. So to me, that's the reason why he is a franchise quarterback, is because he can do things like that. And while we were all like, wow, that's amazing, that's awesome, nobody was surprised. Like, yeah, it's Kyler Murray. He's Sonic the Hedgehog, right? But, at the same time, what we love seeing is that after the game and that growth we're seeing from Kyler after the game, he's taking it all on himself. He's taking responsibility. He's saying, I could have done better today. I missed this throw and this throw, and this decision and that decision. And he's taking it. There were some clips that came out in the past week that talked about his relationship with Gannon, the head coach, and how great it is, and how they're so much on the same page. And I'm telling you, man, that's so nice
That's
to hear.
music to your ears, right?
Oh
Like,
my
all the
gosh,
back
just
and forth and,
amazing.
especially as you say, that him taking the responsibility and not shirking it and kind of almost throwing maybe some of his teammates under the bus or whatever else, and saying, I could be better. And that shows that leadership quality that you want from your QB. It shows that maybe, he could easily just go, the offensive line was a turnstile and I got no chance. But it's more like, I could have played better. I could have made these throws. I could have done
Right.
better.
In the past, he wasn't wrong, but he would say things like the scheme is, we had the wrong scheme. We had the wrong play called. In other words, Cliff, call better plays. Cliff, you're putting us in that situation.
Dude,
he wasn't necessarily wrong, but you don't want the face of your franchise saying that. Now he's saying the things you would like. You know what? Hey, it's on me. Hey, I need to play better. I need to lead my guy. So he's just saying the right things from the coaching staff to all the players. They're saying he's doing the right things. He's showing up first, leaving last, taking ownership. So I really think I really like the direction that we're heading in. I really like the way that our defense is playing. Despite not having any eye-popping numbers, we have guys like Dennis Gardeck and BJ Ojolari outside of Arizona nobody has heard of, and even inside of Arizona, they're like, who? That are playing really good defensive football, and it's just fun to watch. So outside of Marco Wilson, number 20, who he is just horrible cornerback of ours, defensively, we're playing very sound, very good football. We're going to be without Andre Hamilton this week, one of our better defensive backs, but outside of that, I feel optimistic about today. As a matter of fact, I think I haven't gone over the spread. Bo would know. I think we're favored, aren't we?
Favorite, probably at home, usual.
I can actually tell you, I don't think you were actually.
No,
it's probably not with Cup being.
It's Rams -3, so that's okay.
Oh, really?
Okay.
It changed to 3. It was a +/-0 yesterday.
Yeah, well, but Cup's been cleared though to play, and Williams potentially back, and there's a couple of plus points that the Rams have got. I guess that's probably just edged it to that side.
I gotcha.
And as you say, if you're out one of your good DBs and Cup's coming back, that's not the receiver you want.
That's not a recipe for victory. No.
But I guess it depends on what Stafford's position is in terms of how his injury is back, and he's had a week, and he should be better. But if you can get to him and maybe.
He looked all right against the Hawks.
Yeah, you guys didn't look too great against them, did you? I mean, I know we said last time that you wanted a statement win, and you didn't really turn up, and then.
No, we fell apart in the second half yet again. So that's those Rams games have been frustrating this year.
It's a typical NFC West game, isn't it? I said on the show just before, what game of the week am I looking at? And I said last week that the Rams-Seahawks game was the game of the Sunday that I'd be looking at, because it's just NFC West games. They're always tight, niggly fights usually.
Yeah.
Although what Alex says there, we've got 31 reasons to feel very relaxed this weekend. It's nice. Thanks, Get that in. But yeah, I saw the Rams traveling down to the Cardinals. Kyler's back, Jay Connor's back. You had an extra week. Yes, you didn't travel too well last week, but you're back at home again. So maybe that's the recipe. Win your home games, get yourselves some momentum, get yourselves right for next year. But yeah, as you say, all the noises that Kyler's making, all the press conferences, all the things that you're hearing, everything's trending really well for you guys. So it's although it's a negative year, in terms of win-loss columns and whatever else, it's a good positive spin on it. And you may end up, if you get a couple, I can still see you picking up the win today. I can see you picking up a couple of extra in the way the Patriots and the Jets and everybody is just completely disintegrating. You could end up picking 6th or 7th by the way things are going.
Yeah. I put us in that 4 or 5 win area.
Yeah. I think you'll be picking after the Giants, potentially picking after the Bears twice. Patriots are in free fall. I think Bill's on his way upstairs. I think after the end of this year.
Yeah.
You've got. I mean, they're obviously not going to
He's on his
sack
way
him, but
somewhere. Yeah.
he's not going to be the head coach after this year. I think he'll have to move upstairs or something. There's got to be a few changes. And I know you mentioned, is Canada still at Pittsburgh, or is he gone now?
He's not. He got fired earlier this week. So
who else got it? Didn't somebody else Night of the Knives somewhere else as well? So a few coaches went.
Yeah,
Thursday,
so
didn't
like
it?
half of the Commanders coaching staff.
That's what it was. Yes.
Rivera is now going to be taking over the DC duty, remaining head coach, obviously, but he's going to do all the defensive play calling. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think it ultimately saves his job, though. I think by the end of the season, he's out of there as well. And what they do at head coach from there, tough to say.
Eric Bieniemy.
Maybe. The thing that's funny is if I'm Bieniemy, I don't know if I want that job.
You want that job, yeah. I mean,
I would rather move over to the Bears that are probably going to fire their coach, or
should fire their coach. Let's be honest, they should.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, but I don't know that I would want the Washington job just because you don't have as many pieces, right?
That cupboard isn't stacked. Yeah.
It's not. And for a guy like Bieniemy, it's not like if Harbaugh gets fired in Michigan and he comes up and takes it over and is bad in Washington. He has enough resume that he can recover from that. Bieniemy, if he goes and flames out in Washington for whatever reason, because that team sucks, he may not get another bite at the apple.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's where you want to see him go somewhere that has a little more to work with. Just because you want to see him have success, and Washington has a funny way of ending coaching careers.
Yeah, and I feel very bad for him because here he is, Eric Bieniemy. For years, he was stuck over in Kansas City underneath, Andy Reid's shadow, right? We all thought it was Andy Reid that was the reason for the success and not Bieniemy. Then he finally gets this opportunity. It's really just a lane. It's the same position over in Washington, and now he's in Washington doing it. At the beginning of the season, we're like, wow, okay, starting to turn corners. Now we're sitting. Everybody's getting fired. The Commanders have won 4 games this season, blown nobody's hair back. So if Riverboat Ron gets fired, who's going to give Eric another shot? Or do you feel comfortable giving the OC of that team another shot? Has he done enough? Harbaugh's done enough over in Michigan, if you look at his resume, to give him a shot almost anywhere. Whereas Bieniemy, poor guy, he was stuck in Kansas City for so long, he finally gets a shot, and now it looks like he might be stuck holding the pistol while everybody runs out the door. Yeah.
That's pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I don't love that job for him to move in as the HC. I mean, maybe he can take it and run with it, and I hope he does. But man, if it doesn't go well, I don't know if he gets another shot.
It's a dumpster fire. You don't want to be picking up. And as you say,
That's
if
tough.
the Bears have got to lose their HC, and that cupboard at the Bears has got a lot of little shiny baubles in it, right?
Absolutely.
It's got a lot of things, not just now, but also next year. That's got to be a coaching job you look at going, that's 2 first-round picks. You go,
exactly.
What could you make with that?
Too high.
Yeah, like first,
probably
second,
2 in
third,
the first
right?
5, probably. But and my brother-in-law's a Bears fan, and this is what I say. And there's a reason why these bottom feeders are perennial bottom feeders, is because they continue to make the wrong decisions,
choices,
the wrong picks. Right?
True.
The Bears are going to go in next year with probably 2 top 5 picks, the first-ish and the 5th-ish picks, somewhere in that category. Right? They're going to have tons of cap space. If they want Caleb Williams, they can have them. They can have another, offensive lineman, defensive lineman, right?
Yeah.
But if
Harrison
they
Jr.
don't pick right, they don't develop these guys right, what does it matter?
Yeah.
What does it matter?
I mean, the thing is, we were talking about the Bears 3 years ago in the same position, right?
For sure.
The Bears,
every year.
The Bears have the Rex Grossman took them to the Super Bowl once. Before that, I was 1985. So I mean, the Bears have not really been relevant, for a while now.
Yeah. Somehow they're talked about every year, aren't they?
No, it definitely is. It's just if you're a coach that's going to try and land somewhere, even though they do historically make bad decisions, this is going to be your first year in. I think you're going to have the most amount of latitude coming into the building. Like, hey, these are the guys I want for the system I'm bringing in. I think you'd be able to levy that heavier over a GM than like later down the line, right? It's like taking over any company. Like, you're going to do all of your big splash plays right at the beginning when it's the easiest to make transitions. And, so if you're taking that coaching job over, that's where you go in, be like, these are the things I need in this draft. And, as long as you come in strong like that, I think, if a guy like Bieniemy gets there, there's enough on that roster. There's enough potentially coming in that could be a successful team.
Yeah, I really don't see how an OC like Eric Bieniemy gets that job over maybe an OC for the Detroit Lions, right? Who's done it consistently week in and week out, year in and year out. I'd rather give it, to that guy. And, Bieniemy's just in a tough spot. But again, is that GM with the Bears? Is Poles there next year?
No, I think everybody's
So now you have a brand new GM, a brand new head coach, making new. It's that's a tough spot. I mean, take it from a guy who knows the Cardinals, who've had GMs and head coaches all the time. You got to make the right pick, and the guy making the pick, do you trust him making the right pick? I mean, Steve Keim sure didn't make the right pick, hardly ever.
I mean, they're going to have that same issue in Washington, though. Like, they're going to blow that whole thing up.
Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't be any different. They just have more to work with in Chicago than they do in Washington.
Sure.
The Washington Post is a poison chalice for anyone taking that, right? Because it's a rebuild with not many, screws and nails. You're rebuilding something out of.
It always is, because otherwise, why would you be getting fired?
Sure.
Yeah, there wouldn't be an opening if it wasn't a horrible position. But I mean, that's for years the Snyders and they're gone and whatever else. But is the rebuild? Will this be the proper rebuild, or will it be just a stopgap? Stick a plaster on it for a year or two until they get out of find a new stadium and whatever else is happening there, because the stadium's falling down and everything else is what was the thing the ironic headline was couldn't even have a hot shower because had no hot water in the stadium after the game. I mean, it's just like, come on. It's like, come on. Could you be more embarrassing? It's in the nation's capital. You're the nation's capital's team, and that's the best you can come up with. And it's like,
right.
Does anybody want to go near that?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because that's where a guy like Harbaugh could do it, because he's that guy that rubs everyone the wrong way anyway.
Sure.
So he could make them relevant for a few years before ownership is just like, okay, you're annoying, get out of here.
You've annoyed. You've pushed us past the threshold like he did at the Niners.
But to Bo's point, he might be that guy to get them out of purgatory, and then there might be another guy in to take them up another step or two. But yeah, that would be. But Harbaugh is that guy. After 2 or 3 years, I've had enough. I need somebody else now.
You're like, yep, you can get us there.
And that's why he's perfect for college, because every 2 or 3 years you have brand new guys.
Refreshes in and out, right? That's it. The new guys have come in. Although it'd be interesting to see what happens. Does he get suspended for the whole year, and does Michigan give him a bucket load of money to kind of hang around? And there's lots of stories coming out of college about what's going to happen this. I mean, they got the win yesterday, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
No, that is going to be a very interesting thing, because does he even want to stay if he's benched for a year, right? Because that means you're essentially done for a year and a half, right? He missed games in the beginning of this. He misses games at the end. If he gets the ring, right, say they win the Natty, and then they're like, yeah, you're done next season. Do you say, well, that's been fun. I have a lot of NFL options, and head back up, to the big leagues?
Yeah, why not? I would.
I mean, get the ring.
Unless Michigan throw, I mean, he's not exactly short of a few bob, right? He's on a contract which is insane for, most college head coaches are making a fair bit. Do Michigan go, right, we love you, we don't want you to go, here's X amount to go and sit on a beach for a year just to, as a tender or whatever, retention.
I don't know. I mean, if they get the ring, right, they the thing is they even
Is it asterisk? Is there an asterisk on if they?
Oh
win it?
yeah, oh yeah.
Right.
really.
There's been plenty of coaches and talking heads that have said, like, I won't even watch the game if Michigan's in it. If Michigan's in it, put an asterisk. If they win it, it's like,
They're just trying.
I think this whole thing is silly because you stole signs. Didn't Tommy Lasorda say if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying? Like,
Well,
dude, come on.
It's not like baseball where you're knowing the pitch that's coming. You're knowing a roundabout play call, and you still got to stop that play, right? Like it's like you can check out of things. Like
within seconds, I've got to steal your play, relay that back into my middle linebacker, have them get the right 11 guys into the right play. Come on, like you said, I'm getting you in the right circumstance or situation, a base or a nickel or a dime. Like, I mean, and even hey, listen, you go to one of these, you go to a headsets and speakers in the helmets, and this eliminates all of that, all of it.
And besides, if you've been watching tape and you're good at what you do, like when you're standing on the field, you can kind of figure out if it's going to be a run or a pass play.
Absolutely.
Just how your offensive line is leaning in or leaning out, trying to get ready for I mean, like if you're paying attention, you don't need those called in. You can look and be like, oh, okay, this is going to be a running play. I can tell by the way the line's set up.
You see that in the NFL every week. Every week a defender calls out, oh, this is what they're doing. They're running, and we see it. Yeah. And it's because they watch film.
Exactly.
It's pretty silly.
This whole thing is kind of ridiculous. Some of it seems like it's
but that might be what Harbaugh's sick of, fed up with. The silliness of college sports. Throw as much jack at me as you want. I'm going to the NFL.
Well, and that's why I think if they do win it all, and then they tell him, yeah, you're done next year, I think he moves.
Yeah.
And the thing is Michigan had pulled back their contract extension that they had offered to him before, as soon as they found out about all of this. So it's not like Michigan is just over the moon about keeping Harbaugh there. And I think if they do close this thing out with a win, I think Michigan may be like, well, you know what? We got our thing. We beat Ohio State the last three or four times.
Yeah.
It's just like, time to move on.
It'd be interesting because then he will be popular with GMs in the NFL.
Oh yeah,
teams
for
will
sure.
be like, come save us, come and make us relevant. Yeah, quite a few teams will be looking for a head coach that can galvanize a squad or rile people up or whatever. Oh.
That would be interesting. Bears hire.
Well, imagine if he takes over the Chargers.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking. Chargers just
fired.
Yeah, Staley's gone, right? If you might move him back to DC.
Oh,
maybe.
sure.
If he gets boat raced this weekend, right, against the Ravens, if they get absolutely smacked, Staley's. I think that'll be the game. I don't
understand how Staley still has. I
There's
feel like the
number of
Chargers
coaches
went out and Staley's still done. Staley, that's just ridiculous. You don't give the man that much spending on the defense side of the ball, and they look that horrible. Even the offensive side of the ball. Herbert, you could see Herbert's frustration. Like, come on, guys. Which is funny because if Kyler acted like that on the field, oh my God, could you imagine what they'd write about him if he slammed the ball down? And oh my gosh, they would talk about the Hobbit, his lost all control, and blah blah blah, and what's Mini Me doing? And it would be awful.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I get Herbert's frustration in that scenario because you have a defensive head coach that can't call a defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you have one of the worst defenses in the league for a guy that has pays a lot of money for defense. Supposed to be a defensive guy, and
it's not turning up, is it?
And it's just a terrible defense. So I'm surprised he hasn't been fired already. But I think if this weekend comes and the Ravens do what the Ravens should do, that'll probably be it. Be it. Kellen Moore gets the head job. He gets the interim head coach and gets to audition for whether or not he gets to keep it. So if he doesn't, then you're looking at a guy like Harbaugh, which let's be honest, if he had those kind of toys available to him, that could be a scary team.
Yeah, could be. But yeah, as you say, lots of people be interested in knocking on Coach Harbaugh's door and getting back in the big league, and he may well be sick and tired of all the childishness and silliness of the NCAA, especially with everything that's going on in NCAA and the whole, which which conference is actually going to be the lead conference next year. It's not going to be that it's going to be like the Big Six now, or the Big Four, and then the Pac-12 becomes the Pac-2, and what's going on? It's like
the Big 10 becomes the Big 18.
Yeah, I
Pretty
can't
much.
keep up with who's going. It's just going to be a crazy college year next year, and there's like 12 teams in the playoff next year, or is it 8?
12. Yep.
Which just here you get a playoff spot and you get a playoff spot, right?
No, you know what? It's so much better though, because I hate the voting situation of college sports. The voting situation is dumb. Like now they're going to have an actual playoff, and I always laughed because
Yep. Sounds like the weather in Seattle's just come in.
Froze up on us. But about Shannon, I going back to
because it works in literally every. Oh, there we are. Sorry,
there
guys.
we go.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, but it's funny because they're like, oh, it could never work in NCAA, and it's like it works in literally every other version of football, from Pee Wee to pros. There's a playoff system. Like it works. Like proof of concept has happened. So
been done. Take it out of the hands of the journalists who just say, I like this team more than that team, and I went to that college, and therefore I'm going to vote for them to be in the top 4. The AP poll is a crazy scenario. Yeah, it'll take that away at least.
It's so
but
political.
It does seem to be.
Yeah, so I feel like the more inclusive you make it, the more teams you let in, the more politics you take out of the game, right?
Exactly.
And I think the thing is,
you guys are going to put Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State in there no matter what, right? It doesn't matter.
1, 2, 3, just from the outset,
lose
all the time.
6 games and kill somebody, like they're gonna get in. So
everyone's going to want Roll Tide to get in, even if they've got a losing record, they'll still get in somehow.
Right?
But
yeah.
End up with a team like Oregon that's going to be a 1-loss outside looking in. They probably get a spot, right?
Yeah.
So. The way that it is now, it's like, there's teams that because the Pac-12 was such a good conference this year, they beat each other up a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Well, some of those teams are better than the teams that are going to be there because they're like, oh, well, this one we like better because we see them because we vote from the East Coast. It's like, well, yeah, that's great, but this West Coast team's
got a losing record. This team's undefeated and not getting in, and yet a team that's lost the game is in. What? How does that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is head scratching, but it'll be interesting to watch next year.
Absolutely.
Okay, you were going to say something about Shanahan or something, didn't you?
No, I would say Harbaugh. I honestly think, as crazy as this may sound, I honestly think for Harbaugh, I think the better match, the better marriage, if you're dating and seeing who's a better match, I think the Bears marriage is a better match for him than the Chargers because, one, the Bears love to run the ball. They have a stable of running backs, and they love to play defense. And I think just with some tinkering, you can play some defense, especially in that conference. Whereas the Chargers, I feel like it's almost like there's so many prima donnas, and Harbaugh doesn't do well with prima donnas at all. And there's so many mouths to feed and prima donnas over there. It's kind of like when Mike Tomlin had Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, and who's that running back for Michigan State? Le'Veon Bell. It's like, man, that Mike Tomlin was a real MVP because how did he keep all those egos afloat and happy and in check? Because, man, when they migrated and left, we watched them implode, right? I kind of think like that. If you have a strong head coach in Harbaugh with the Chargers, with all those egos, I don't know if that would necessarily work out. I think you might see a lot of guys start the Chargers ship out this guy. The Chargers ship out this guy. Start shipping out guys for football guys that come in with high football knowledge and sense and like to play under a system and a coach like Harbaugh. So I think the Bears would be a better marriage for him.
Where he's really going to shine coming back is because he's coming from college. He's going to get to do some of what Pete Carroll was able to do coming in. He's going to have a lot better understanding of the players throughout the draft because he's been coaching against him the last few years. So
absolutely,
he's going to hit a home run coming in because he's watched all these kids. And it's not like, oh, I was watching a scouting report. It's like, no, he was on the other sideline watching these kids, or they were some of his kids. So all of a sudden, you bring him to the league. It's like, oh, you're
I want
bringing
him,
Pete Carroll in that first
him. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm not sure about Pete Carroll, but I know Bruce Arians was like this when he got the head coaching job for the Cardinals back in 2000. I think it was 2013 maybe. He got roughshod over the 53 man. So not only was Steve Keim now coming in as GM, but we brought in a new head coach in Bruce Arians, who we give you control over the 53-man roster. Most head coaches don't have control over the 53-man roster, where Bruce Arians did. And I feel like Harbaugh is going to be given that same opportunity wherever he goes. And if it's Chicago, most definitely he's going to be given control over that 53-man. And that's going to be very enticing.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And it'd be fun to watch. Let's be honest. Like, that'll be.
Yeah.
And,
Like,
it would match, as you say, Chicago, Harbaugh's kind of gritty mentality of us against them.
What a great marriage, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that epitomizes Chicago and the Bears.
Nobody really likes them.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect.
It's a perfect scenario. Yes, and as you say, 3 seasons in, it might just all fall apart. But for 3 seasons or whatever, it will be.
The thing that's funny there is with Harbaugh, the way he likes quarterbacks, he may move on from Fields, though.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, because he would have those first rounders and realistically like top first round picks. He may trade away Justin Fields and go get a quarterback.
I think he would.
That would be interesting.
Knows and has been scouted and watched very closely for the last 3-4 years. Yeah, absolutely. And then cherry pick who he wants. Could be interesting times in Chicago if it does go down that road, which is great for us to talk about in the NFC West show. But
right.
It's the NFC West, NCAA, NFC North, so we'll go for it.
Yep.
I suppose the thing is that because of the Thursday game, it's not having Sam to bounce some Rams thoughts around how he feels. It would be interesting to see because obviously Rams getting a few bodies back for this week may give him a bit more of a positive spin on it. But I think I still don't see them doing anything traveling down to you guys. Still see as I think Alec called it on the previous show, at least 2-score lead for the Cardinals early and just run out.
Wow, I had the Rams in this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams won this one. They're a great fourth quarter team. I think throughout the season they've scored 90 plus points in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Ooh.
So they have they have no qualms from coming from behind. Again, I think it's a close fought game. I like again with Kyler Murray, anything could happen, right? You could see that Kyler from holy cow. And what you do is you see him playing within that system. So you saw, the first game back against Atlanta, that was kind of old Kyler. And then you saw last week him really trying to play within the confines of the system. And that was tough. One of the things that is kind of a head scratcher is he's still playing from the gun a lot. Okay. Yeah. He's not playing from under center a lot. Well, if you go back, Josh Dobbs' last 2 games in a Cardinals uniform, 67% of his snaps were taken from the gun. So I don't know if Petzig and company are kind of adopting and molding an offense that fits the scheme of who's running that offense, or because they're showing under center just enough to make defenses think they can do it, and they will do it.
Yeah.
But he's still in the gun a lot, which I don't mind, but I would like to see him under center some more. But again, we look pretty healthy. We're missing a DB. We're missing a wide receiver. But I think it's going to be a close fought game. I think it's going to be a good game. If Stan was here, obviously he'd pick the Rams, and he'd say they'd probably pull it out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a battle, right? Like it's going to be every other NFC West game. Like it's going to be a battle.
Me and my son will be there cheering our butts off. It'll be great.
Awesome. Nice. And that's what it's all about, right? I mean, as I said to you and the guys on the Twitter, that's my plan for next year. I saw a load of the guys go out this year. It's like, I got to get out there for next time. I want to do that.
That was awesome to see you guys making this trip out. That was great.
Yeah, it was an amazing amount of, the photos that have come back, the photo dump on the Facebook, it's just like, wow, so much.
Yeah, it kind of made me sick to see the happy faces when you guys came back and how happy you were. Yeah, it was disgusting to see.
Disgusting to see.
Yeah.
So that's I've got to get out there. So next year's a big plan. I mean, we're lucky enough in the UK. We've got, going back to NCAA, we've got a game in the Irish game start the season. We got the Seminoles are coming over for that, so that would be ideal to start there. But yeah, definitely want to get to Levi's and then do that Thursday night or the rivalry weekend, fly back out of Tallahassee and catch the FSU hosting the Gators. That's kind of like dream for next year. So got to be done. Got to be done.
And that'll be your 50th too, right?
Yeah. So big year. Got to do it. So why not?
There we go.
Absolutely.
So boys, look forward to the rest of the Sunday. And it's a weird one playing on a Thursday, Bo, isn't it? It just feels like it's everything's done, and then it's like I can just watch football and enjoy it without any.
I do like that part. I do like that. It's a bye week. Thursdays in a row. We got back-to-back Thursday night football because we got the Cowboys this coming Thursday.
Oh wow! So you're playing again on Thursday?
Yeah.
That's even more weird.
Yeah.
Even more weird. Yeah.
Very strange. It's very strange. Which and the Cowboys are doing the same thing, right? They played on Thanksgiving. They're also coming back for Thursday. So very, very bizarre to have 2 Thursday nights in a row. So for our game, the thing that was one of the biggest concerns I had coming out of that game was the fact that somehow we forgot how to tackle.
Yeah,
that was the most frustrating thing to watch. And it wasn't like it was even some of those ones where they were just throwing a shoulder and you're like, could you just try and wrap someone up? Right. Like these ones were like, they were trying to wrap them up and then would just kind of like let go. And it's like, what?
I mean, the Javon Jennings one is the prime example, right? 4 of your guys.
Yeah.
And he still managed to get
4 more yards. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And it got to the point where they benched Woolen during the game for not being able to tackle. I'm just like, what is going on right now? So it was. There was not enough beer in that building for elephants.
Oh wow, that says it all. That says a lot because there was a lot of beer in that building. Wow, still not enough.
No, it was. There were elements that I was watching in that game, and I'm just like, if you just lose, but you're playing good football,
and you just lose to a better team, you kind of go,
It wasn't your day, right? But when you're playing bad football, then you're just like, man,
right.
Like, what are we doing right now? Because DK had a very similar play where he came up against 3 guys, and you saw him just kind of stand up and give up on the play, right? He needed 3 more yards.
I've seen it so many. There's a load of 49ers fans are like, splitting the screen, going, look at this, and then look at that, and you're just like chalk and cheese. As you say, Metcalf catches it, turns around, he's got 2 yards to get, and he's got 2 players on him, and he just
stands up. And it's just like,
goes, okay.
Yeah. Well, and they were backed up, by the end zone during that. And it was just like, and I happened to be sitting down towards that end. So I got to watch both of those plays real close. And so I'm just like, oh, the Niners, this is how you're supposed to do it. And then DK is like, oh, I guess I'm done. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
That's a nice way of putting it, right? What are we doing?
Did he sign, I'm done? Or was it just facial expressions, I'm done? Like, how did he,
he did the little emoji.
Oh well, that's right.
Well,
and then throw a cheap sort of blindside block at somebody probably later on.
Yeah,
at least he didn't do that, right? At least he didn't get flagged for that.
There's true. I mean, at least we didn't get an insane amount of penalties. I mean, so in that way, it could have been worse. We did see a little bit more disciplined football, I guess. But at the end of the day, it looked like there was just a real lack of effort on the Seahawks end. And that's troubling going forward.
Well, especially since this is a real pivotal part of your schedule, right? So you just lost to the Niners. You got a full week to get ready for the Cowboys. That's in Dallas, right? Pete Carroll will definitely get you guys ready, but you're facing a Dallas team who's won 4 of their last 5. They're feeling really good about themselves. They just came off, beating the Rams, 43-20. So, they know how to play the NFC West. They're, we beat them, but that was many moons ago. They weren't playing well, and it seems like now they're playing much, much better. So
we handed them. We handed them a.
You shellacked them. I think Kittle had a little message for him. I love that message. But
the Gary Plummer tribute. Yeah.
It's a real pivotal part for Seattle just to kind of get that ship right if they're going to make that playoff push and get
especially
a wild card
because
spot.
after the Cowboys game, he's back at Levi's for the return. So
Yeah.
round.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because they really needed that Rams win, right?
They did.
Because then they could go and they could potentially lose all 4 of these and then play the last 3 games, which are very winnable. It's the Titans, the Steelers, and then finish with the Cardinals. So, I mean, like they're very winnable games at the end. If you win that Rams game, you could go 0-4 through the gauntlet and still finish 10-7, which gets you in the playoffs. Now they have to steal one of those games.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so realistically, of the team of the 3 left, right? Cowboys, Niners again, Eagles. The Cowboys are the one that you can take. Like that.
Sure,
that's
absolutely.
a game that is very beatable. The Niners, again, you guys are probably the best team in the league when you're healthy, and you guys are as healthy as you've been all year.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the Eagles, unfortunately, schematically, they do things well that Seattle doesn't defend well, right? They do the short seam routes, in-cutting routes, and to the flats. Well, those are the 3 areas of the field that the Seattle defense really struggles to cover. And so, unfortunately, just alignment-wise, the Eagles are
Tough
just
matchup, right?
Yeah, I mean, they do everything well that we don't, and so it's that's going to be a tough game. I think it's a loss. So, like, if you're going to win one of these next three games, it's probably against the Cowboys. Because I didn't see anything in this Niners game that makes me think we're going to get you the next time around.
No, I didn't. I mean, it looked quite comfortable from our side, and you scored, but you scored a few points, as you say, more than the Jags. But I don't think that it was more later on. I think
one of them was a pick six.
Yeah,
one was. It's not even like the offense was doing anything. It was a pick six that got in. Our offense didn't score a touchdown. That's the other issue with this team is they can't finish in the end zone. They've kicked a lot of field goals, but they can't finish in the end zone. So, in fact, I was there with a bunch of people, right? And so we had a bet on. We bet each other a beer, right? So whoever would have won would have ended up with a bunch of beers. So basically, if you pick the right offensive player to get the touchdown, everyone was going to buy you a beer, right? Oof. So yeah, I mean, whoever won was probably going to be pretty
carried home, right?
So the problem is the only touchdown scored by the Seahawks was on defense.
By the defense, yeah.
Ain't nobody pick a defensive player. So that bet never got paid out, right? Because nobody scored. So yeah, it
rolls into the next one then. Double up.
I don't know about all that.
It's a lot of beers. That's a lot.
All of a sudden, you're getting an aid car. It's not an Uber anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Straight to the hospital for a stomach pump. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, that Dallas game is really your area opportunity. You don't run the ball particularly well. Looks like you're 25th in the league. You don't stop the run particularly well. And if you look at San Fran and Philadelphia, those are two things they do exceptionally well is run the ball and stop the run. And that's the one thing maybe Dallas doesn't do the best is run that football. Ray Pollard isn't running that ball like everyone thought he was going to be able to run that ball. So that is definitely your area opportunity is that Dallas game. To squeak out that victory.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice for us if you did that as well, because everyone hates Cowboys. We'd all appreciate it if you kind of handed the down.
I mean,
that is absolutely
then
true.
Literally, it's just the Rams who have let down the NFC West there.
Yeah, well, and the other thing that would be great about it is if we could
That's right.
beat Dallas, that means we would also have the tiebreaker against them.
Yeah, and
right?
that's going to be important come playoff.
Drop the next two. They lose to the Eagles, and then we win the last three, and they drop another one somewhere along, one or two along the way.
It's Dallas, right? They're going to.
Yeah, of course, because it's December.
Of course they will, yeah.
So, then all of a sudden, you're looking at it as, hey, maybe they both get in, but instead of having to hit the Niners in the first round yet again, maybe we get the, winner of the South.
Whoever wins the South. Yeah,
right?
It's like,
which is a winnable game. So because I mean, at the beginning of the season, if you remember, I was saying the Hawks should be a divisional round exit, right? So that's how they get to the divisional round. If they got to face the Niners a third time in the wild card, I'm going to go with that's probably not a win.
So, seriously,
think?
come on now. You don't think so? After getting swept again and coming
Not
up
putting
again,
beers on that one.
Yeah, I feel like you guys would be real mad if you beat us twice in the season and then we end your playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Rams a couple of seasons ago. Yeah, that was not
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. Appreciate catching up with you guys. Jay, enjoy the game down there.
Absolutely.
You and your boys are going to have a great time. Sounds like it's going to be a blast. And I just say I'm favouring the Cards this one. I know Bo's got the Rams, but it's the NFC, right? It's the NFC West.
Yeah,
it's an arm wrestle.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Enjoy your Sundays, boys. It's been great catching up. Can't wait to speak to you next week. Take it easy.
guys.
All right. See you guys.